A lot of people heard earlier today a very promising announcement from President Trump having to do with Adam Schiff. And there are Crowdsource the Truth viewers who mistakenly thought that I had broken this story about Adam Schiff and mortgage fraud, but it was actually Christine Bish. And I am delighted to be joined by Ms. Bish today. Christine, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I am wonderful. Thank you for having me on.
And I appreciate you being able to join last minute like this. I know you and I spoke just earlier today when this announcement was made. You are running for Congress. Can you give everybody your background? Tell us the seat that you're running for, how this all came about, because I think a lot of people, obviously, if they thought I broke the story, hadn't heard of you.
Okay. Well, my name is Christine Bish, and I am a Republican running for Congress in California. I'm in the Sacramento area in California's 6th Congressional District. And how I came about this is I was actually running for Congress back in the 2020 election. It was 2019. And I was doing opposition research on, at the time, my opponent, Representative Doris Matsui. And, when I won the primary, the first thing I said was, well, where does Doris live? Because I know she doesn't live in Sacramento. So as I started digging into Doris's background, I had come across this blip about Adam Schiff not living in California. And at that point, I continued going after Doris, but I was still looking for, evidence on Adam Schiff. At the end of that election, I did not win. It was my first time running, learned a lot, but I decided, I had to go after the bigger fish. So I jumped in with both feet going after Adam Schiff. And a few years later, digging into it, this is the culmination of all of my hard work. Pulling his mortgage documents, his tax documents. Now, I'm in Sacramento. I'm in Northern California. Last year, I went down to Southern California to the voter registrar's office and actually pulled certified copies of all of his voter registration documents so I could confirm all of my suspicions. I pulled his mortgage records, his tax records. Public records is just an amazing gift, at least in the United States. And that's going to lead me into a little bit about my background, and then we'll jump into this investigation.
Yeah. Please do, because I heard you were on Mike Huckabee. You had a great appearance on Mike Huckabee talking about how you were an investigator for a law firm and you were involved in repossessing cars. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. I've had an amazing work history. I was a bill collector and repossessed cars. I worked in a law firm for 10 years and locating people, locating assets, locating witnesses. Like I said, I was doing bill collecting and judgment enforcement. I had the opportunity to help one of our local bounty hunters trace down a couple of bad guys. It's just an amazing life, lots of opportunities. I've learned a lot, and I've been able to take literally everything I've learned in my adult working life and put it all together. And, it's just, I know how to track down bad guys, where they hide and how they hide. And it's, for the last 20 years, I've been in real estate and mortgage, helped on some legal cases involving real estate and mortgage. And it's just all of my background just came together and put me in a position to where I understood what was going on with, Adam Schiff and Doris Matsui, and there's a few other ones, but we're going to focus on Adam Schiff for right now. But it was all of that background, that history, that knowledge that gave me the ability to know what I was looking at, know where to look for the next piece of information, and put it all together. I had some great help. A gentleman by the name of Darren Ellis was an instructor, a professor at one of the local universities here. What do you call it? University of the Pacific. And he helped me piece together the legal parts of it. I knew what I was looking at. So he does legal research and prepares documents. So once I came together with all the evidence, he helped me put it into a cohesive complaint. Now, that was originally submitted in 2023 to the House Ethics Committee. And, I'll be honest with you, Congress dropped the ball. So I resubmitted it, did some work with Seamus Bruner. And he was amazing coaching me, pushing me for more information. Chris, we need to know exactly the sources, and really push me further than anyone had, and made sure that every I, every T was absolutely perfect, that we could source everything. And so in October of 2024, we resubmitted it to the House Ethics Committee. And, they dropped the ball again. So, I brought on John Stubbins. He's a podcaster. And John has been amazing at helping me get the word out, basically trying to market this piece. He's reached out to members of Congress, people in the media, district attorneys, just his reach within the political sphere was just invaluable in helping me get this story out. And it's just, it evolved into this great team. I can do the digging, but no one person can get anything accomplished. You've got to have people that you can rely on. Everybody carries out their piece of this. And then I've been patiently trying to get this story to move forward. And a little bird contacted me and said, Chris, you've got to make sure you do this in the right way so that it can be referred. So on April 30th of 2025, I took the whole file, put it together, and submitted it to HFHA, which is the federal organization that oversees Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Took all the evidence, the complaint, put everything into HFA, and I was very surprised to see Donald Trump actually woke up this morning to text messages and emails, my phone just blowing off the hook. Chris, Donald Trump's talking about your report from people who had interviewed me before and had following this. John Solomon had covered this on Just the News. We've had Red State, CNN actually covered it back in October of 2024. I'm sorry, 2023. And what was funny is CNN had broke the story, and they said documents have surfaced about Adam Schiff committing mortgage fraud. I was kind of angry because I said, they didn't just surface. The Tooth Fairy did not drop this stuff off. I got a lot of years of work into this. And it is satisfying to see that it did get the attention of the president. And I've actually been on social media today just covering it. And I saw where Adam Schiff was claiming it was about retribution. So I put a post on there and said, this was not President Trump. He wasn't trying to do anything to you, Mr. Schiff. It was all me. And I'm going to follow it through to the end.
Well
We're going
said.
to make sure Mr. Schiff understands this wasn't about retribution. This is about right and wrong, and no one's above the law. He likes to say it. Now he gets to experience it.
I certainly hope so, Christine. And I wanted to have you on because I don't want people to think that I did more than I did. Somebody, before I even knew about you, somebody just mentioned this to me, that Adam Schiff had some kind of mortgage problem. And I did surface level research compared to what you've done. You've been on this for years and years. People have been contacting me quite a lot about it, however, and many people, perhaps justifiably, are concerned that even with the president's attention on this, maybe nothing will happen to Adam Schiff. He's quite powerful in the Senate.
Well, yes, he is. But I took that into the account back in 2023 when I first submitted it. I put the full file together, the complaint, and was sending it to the House Ethics Committee and prepared my email and all my attachments. And I took a breath and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I was at work and I said, what am I doing? This guy took down the president of the United States. He managed to get Trump.
He tried to. Yeah, that's true.
He did. And all of the things that happened and all the legal troubles and the woes of Donald Trump that he had to go through. And here I am picking a fight with this guy. So I slept on it, and I went back to the office the next day and said a couple of colorful metaphors to myself, and I hit send. No one's going to intimidate me.
Yeah, like it.
And so here we are today, and I'm proud of everything that our president is doing, and I'm not going to let Adam Schiff do this. As far as anything happening to him, we've already seen the conviction of Marilyn Mosby. She was the district attorney in Baltimore, Maryland. We now see the criminal referral on Letitia James out of New York. And I've been chasing this case against Adam Schiff a lot longer than those two. And I know there are some hurdles that they still have to go through on this. And what I can tell everybody is not only is the evidence that I put together ironclad, we now know with the criminal referral that I was right.
Yeah, no, you were definitely right.
Confirmation.
Absolutely. Now, not to be negative, but this just popped up, and it's only come up 7 hours ago. This is from something called Capital B. Marilyn Mosby scores partial victory, has one federal conviction overturned. She gets to keep the Florida condo at the heart of her mortgage fraud case, but her felony perjury convictions stand. Well, you know what? That might be because Florida is a homestead state. I think it's very difficult to strip somebody of their house. She doesn't look too happy. What do you think of this news?
You know what? The perjury, they may not be able to take the house in this particular case. Now, in the case of Adam Schiff, we've reviewed it. Darren Ellis, who was the legal analyst who worked with me, he confirmed that in Maryland, they can take that house. So
yeah.
The next part of this is when you look at Marilyn Mosby, she involved, or it was just her, and I guess the boyfriend. With Letitia James, she involved her dad. So we're not seeing reporting on dad on this.
Well, he's dead. The father.
Okay, I did not know that. I wasn't looking.
There's a whole. I did quite a lot on Letitia James, and it's an interesting story because, see, this is a whole other show for us to do. But what I discovered, because I was friendly with some of the guys that were doing the reporting on Letitia James, particularly Joel Gilbert. He's been on the show for 6 years, and when Joel and Sam started doing this, Joel had contacted me and asked me if I could join those guys on a trip that they were making to Brooklyn to check out the condo. And when I missed it, I decided, well, let me do a little Twitter thread to kind of like, boost what these guys are doing. And I started looking into it, and the primary finding that Joel had was that she had faked a marriage to her father to get a loan from something called Cadillac Funding. So I like to do my creative, artificial intelligence graphic. Yeah, try to do these AI graphics. And I found all kinds of other stuff that Tish James was doing something with this New York neighborhood housing services. And I said, wait a minute, that sounds a lot like the people who threw me out of the Walcott Hotel. And I discovered a whole nonprofit scandal with that. So I started looking into this and found that she had a mortgage at the Bank of India that had similar problems in terms of who satisfied this mortgage. She was creating shell divisions of this nonprofit and doing all kinds of financial things through those shell divisions. And I published all of this, and Joel said I was a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. And I said, wait a minute, what the hell are you talking about? This is like you. I have experts who I rely on and speak to about mortgage and financial stuff. And I found it very weird that Joel had that reaction. I thought it might have been territorial. You know, sometimes podcasting, people can be weird. But then it seemed to go deeper because I was finding evidence that Tish James actually faked her father's death. She's an attorney, and she made a probate filing in 1999 alleging that the father had died in 1983. And even more suspiciously, it was a pro se filing, and she was a beneficiary of it. So this was totally unethical, totally not what she should have been doing. And I began to look even further, and not to redirect this too much because we're talking about Adam Schiff, but this is also an interesting story. It turns out that Cadillac Funding got jammed up in a big fraud scandal in 1999, and the New York Times did a whole expose of this, and I began to go down the track of, well, wait a minute, Tish James's father very well could have been alive in 1999. Did he see this story and come up with this idea that he needs to be dead to avoid prosecution and going to jail for the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years of his life? And sure enough, it seems like that's what happened, because Joel mysteriously showed up with the death certificate for this guy. You can't get that unless you're the administrator of the estate. The only person who should have it is Tish James. And it turns out that in this pro se filing, she was waiving out all the alleged brothers and sisters who don't seem to be her actual brother and sister, seems to be the children of this other guy named Robert James. I think she co-opted the death certificate of another person named Robert James, who died in 1983, faked her father's death. See, we've got a Muppet death scene here. She put together a massive, massive fraud while she was the assistant deputy attorney general under Elliot Spitzer, who got jammed up for doing something with hookers. There's Joel presiding over the fake wedding. And so there's a huge array of scams going on in Congress,
Now,
Christine. So if
so
you
I'm
get
gonna tell you
elected,
on this one with James, what do you think the chances are that Dad, whether he really died or not, had some sort of an insurance policy?
well, there's no record of that, but he's not recorded as deceased anywhere. And this was all coming out right at the time that Elon Musk was talking about people who are 150 years old still collecting Social Security. And there's good reason to believe that her mentally incompetent, according to the filing, brother might still be living in the home in Queens collecting the father's Social Security checks. We just don't know. And that would be Social Security fraud. I mean, there's just so many layers of fraud here. It began to appear to me that this accusation of her signing a power of attorney document in Virginia and claiming to be married to the father was about to be sort of lawyered away in court by Abby Lowell. She's got the same attorney as Hunter Biden. And we know that that guy is very skilled at making legal problems go away. So it began to occur to me that it was possible that this might be what we like to call a limited hangout, where they wanted to focus on some very small criminal and ethical matters to try to make a very large, what appears to be kind of insane criminal empire that's been going on for 40 years to make that go away.
You know, you trying to give me another project here? I'm kind of busy with Adam
I
Schiff.
would welcome your assistance on this.
I would love to help you do a deep dive into that. I'm pretty good at it. But let's go back to Adam Schiff, because
Yes.
what's I guess not brilliant, but just simplistic about this Adam Schiff case, every document is public record. We can source everything. And it was while I was working with Seamus Bruner, he works with John Solomon and Peter Schweitzer, is they wanted to know where did this all come from? And it all went back to a House ethics complaint in 2008. And oh gosh, I love that picture. Back in 2008, where there was an ethics complaint against Doris Matsui, and they had identified Adam Schiff and a couple of other members of Congress who were claiming Maryland as their primary residence. So when you looked at that, they went to the tax collector for the state of Maryland, who ordered Schiff and Matsui to pay restitution, to repay the homeowners' interest deduction that they were taking, money that was due to the state of Maryland, and they were ordered to pay that back. So that is absolutely fascinating. But restitution is something you do when you've broken the law.
Right.
And at the time, Nancy Pelosi was able to cover this up. She was able to kick it under the carpet, if you will. But it didn't resolve the mortgage issues. And what's crazy is both of them, even after getting caught and Nancy Pelosi running interference for them just on the Maryland tax stuff, not on the mortgage stuff, they both refinanced their houses again. And so this is a pattern and practice of behavior. It proves that it wasn't a one-time deal. So the other thing that a lot of people are missing, and I love that you're showing these mortgage documents, because when you look at those, it's not just Adam Schiff that did this. It was also
Right.
his wife, Eve.
Right. Adam and Eve.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Adam and Eve. It's just one more creepy layer to it.
Yeah.
But in 2020, 2024, when I did this in October, they actually interviewed Adam Schiff on one of the local TV stations in California. I believe it's KCRA. They tracked him down and says, and said, hey, there's all this talk about you being a resident of Maryland. And in that video, he says, look, I made no excuses. Let everyone know I was moving my family to Maryland. Well, why didn't he just run for Congress in Maryland? And the truth is, you can own as many houses as you want. It's, I have 4 houses. It doesn't matter how many you own, but only one can be your primary residence. Now, not everybody knows this, but we do have a whistleblower from one of the mortgage companies who contacted me to let me know that Adam Schiff was very, very aware of the fact that he was putting false information on those mortgage documents.
Wow.
So now, and this is a big clue, if you're in the real estate and mortgage industry and you look at those deed of trusts that you're putting up on the screen, somebody wrote in pen. That wasn't me. That's the original recorded document.
Right.
Somebody wrote on those principal residence. And I've circled them and actually had him sign the affidavits that say that it is his principal residence and what the penalties are there. Here you go. Clause 6 on occupancy. But the fact that they wrote that in pen, and I'm assuming it was the title officer on each one of those loans to go out of their way to make sure that it was written in ink, primary residence on the cover of each one of those documents, That was a cover your ass move.
For the person at the bank, you're saying,
For
covering
the
their own
person, the
ass.
title company. And this is one of the cool things. Two of those loans were done through a company called Quicken Loans, Quicken Mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And they were done through Ticor Title of Florida, because everything's online now, which gives the Attorney General, in my opinion, of course we're going to have to prove
Of
it,
Florida.
of Florida jurisdiction to
Wow.
investigate and prosecute this, as well as or make the criminal referral. Luckily, the FHFA was able to get that referral. But if you look at those documents, each one of those title companies or the lenders, an individual district attorney in those jurisdictions could make these referrals. So if we know somebody who is the Attorney General for the state of Florida, I am handing you Schiff on a silver platter.
Well, certainly
So
the current Attorney General must know people, because she used to be the Attorney General for the state of Florida.
exactly. So, I have spent the last few years reaching out to any district attorney, attorney general. And there's a lot when you look at the way these mortgages, how they're done. They're called MERS loans. So it's nothing's done locally. And what I haven't done is looked for the ID of Adam and Eve Schiff. I don't know whether they have their ID in California and or in Maryland, but we do know that the Schiff kids, since 2003, didn't attend school. They're adults now, did not attend school in California after 2003. So when you read it, you will see Adam Schiff, he started out, doing the right thing. It was elected in 2000, ran for re-election, was elected again for 2002, sworn in 2003. What he also did, which is against the law in California, he borrowed money against his house in Burbank and then turned around and used the borrowed money as the down payment on the house in Maryland so they could qualify for that mortgage, and then turned around and sold the Burbank house and rented a one-bedroom furnished condo. And I had confirmed that those were rental properties and cross-referenced it with his voter registration forms, that the addresses that he was using when he had changed a couple times to different fully furnished one-bedroom, one-bath apartments. There you go. Looking at these documents, it's just fascinating. I know them all by memory. But so he had rented those apartments, and when he got caught in 2008 and then had to pay restitution in 2009, I'm guessing a couple things had happened. He had panicked and needed a permanent residence in California, so he had purchased that condo above, I think, a pharmacy. And it was still, not a place that was his primary residence, because he was still taking the more primary residence in Maryland. I mean, he just kept doubling down. It wasn't enough to get his hand caught in the cookie jar. He had to just keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, it was October of 2020, something fascinating happened with Adam Schiff. What he did was he refinanced the Maryland house as a second home. Then he refinanced the California condo as his primary residence. What happened in 2020 that changed his tune? And it was a guy named, excuse me, Stephen Watkins out of Shawnee County, Oklahoma. Sorry, I'm got the flu too. But it was in Shawnee County, Oklahoma. Stephen Watkins got himself in trouble. He was a sitting member of Congress, and he he was elected, went to Washington, D.C., everything was good. And then he apparently had moved home to live with his dad. And when he did that, he changed his voter registration, but he didn't do it to dad's house. There you go, you got it. What he did was he got a UPS store, a private
Oh,
mailbox,
they love that.
and registered to vote at the private mailbox. Well, he got caught, and he subsequently had voted in a local election, and when he did that, they got him for using a false address in the elections. And the big thing that clicked with me in that is a sitting member of Congress was charged with those election violations by a local district attorney.
It's pretty good.
Got him. We got Schiff. And you know, Stephen Watkins, I don't think what he did was malicious. I think it was sloppy. Just didn't think about what he was doing. And it was a one-time deal with Stephen Watkins. But what we see with Adam Schiff and even with Doris Matsui is this repeated pattern of behavior, because he had never been caught, and Nancy Pelosi protected him, was able to put it under the rug in 2008, and they both paid restitution to Maryland, but that didn't remove those federal charges.
So let me ask you this, Christine, because people are asking us in the comments. I know the answer. People are asking if you're an attorney. You aren't an attorney, right? You just work for an attorney.
No, I am not. I worked for an attorney. I was in a local law firm here in Sacramento, and I was an in-house investigator. Did skip tracing, and like I said, before that, I repossessed cars. But part of that repossessing cars, it's locating them.
Finding the person, right. And you really develop a taste for it, right? You learn how to find them, and it's kind of thrilling, I have to admit. I've had some experience in doing similar type of stuff.
It is the biggest adrenaline rush than you can imagine, especially stealing a car, you know, legally stealing a car, them chasing at you and all the other things. There's no roller coaster ride that'll.
But it's law enforcement, right? It's the person who's not paying for the car who's actually stealing the car. Just because they possess it and they think it's theirs, they can't. You know, this is financial crimes. Same thing Adam Schiff is doing,
right?
Yeah,
and it's not. It's you know, it's just doing the right thing. Exactly. Everybody makes mistakes.
But wait, you said something important, and I want to dig into that, because you said that Adam Schiff did this knowingly. Adam Schiff is not some dunce who goes and lives with his father and thinks he needs to register. Exactly. He's an attorney himself, and these are sophisticated crimes. Attorney. Right. He's been a prosecutor and everything. Now, you said that Nancy Pelosi helped him sort of fix this. I found a lot of stuff that Jamie Raskin was doing that was very similar. These guys get mortgages. They refinance the homes in ways that don't make sense from mortgage companies that seem to satisfy these mortgages without ever making these guys pay anything. They're constantly refinancing, constantly acquiring homes that they can just refinance at unbelievable rates. And it causes me to wonder. I don't want to ask you to speculate, because I know you're running for Congress and we don't want you to say anything that you don't have absolute evidence of, but it almost seems like this is an initiation ritual where they want to have this documentation of you violating these laws so that they can kind of say, hey, we need you to vote this way or that, or else, you know?
No. That is not what I would, that isn't even close to what I would speculate. My speculation is more just from my background in not only real estate, but in mortgage, is anybody can make a mortgage payment. If I have your address and you tell me where your bank is, I could make your mortgage payment for you.
And the bank doesn't care who's making it so long as it's made.
And the bank doesn't care who makes the payment as long as it's made.
That facilitates this activity, I agree. But what I'm saying, Nancy Pelosi, I think they invite these people to do these types of crimes because, as you said, it's all documented, it's all public. And really, if Adam Schiff decided to go sideways and the people who have been protecting him wanted to put him in jail, don't they have an outrageous amount of ammunition? Like, I mean, the truth of the matter is, if the people who could do this wanted to prosecute him, they could do it tomorrow.
These people who do this, they're so arrogant, right? And just, look at Adam Schiff, his behavior, just arrogance. And it's really sloppy work. I'd be more inclined, because I don't have subpoena power, but if there is a criminal referral, which it looks like it is, Laura Ingraham had broke that today, that she's got a copy of the criminal referral, so they have subpoena power. And in that subpoena power, they can look and see, go to the mortgage companies, who made the payments. Where were they bank transfers? Were they checks? Now, we can't get into the banking stuff without the subpoena. But imagine if you look at the number of refinances, particularly with Adam Schiff.
He just keeps the money.
But if it's paid down by somebody else, maybe somebody who couldn't give him money, and this is pure speculation.
That's what I mean. It's a payoff.
Subpoena power. If I wanted to pay down your mortgage because I couldn't, maybe I was a felon or a foreign national.
Right.
That's a way I could pay
exactly
down, and you could get the money out. Because why would somebody worth so much money as Adam Schiff have constantly kept a high mortgage on this house? Why keep refinancing? Why keep pulling cash out? Why keep that particular house buried in debt? It's the only thing that makes sense.
Exactly. This is a lawfare network, and you've just described exactly how it would work. It's a clandestine bribery mechanism, and I don't know if you're aware of this.
What a great way to launder money.
That's what I mean. It's money laundering, and that's the serious crime.
Possibly. That's speculation.
Allegedly, that's speculation. Right.
Because I deal in facts. And so when we go back to this, make sure everyone who's listening to that is every document that is in there is public record. Anybody on the street can find the documents that I submitted in the complaint for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah, that's all based on documented public fact documents that Adam Schiff himself signed. This is what's called self-authenticating evidence in court. Yes. You don't need him to raise his right hand. He's already signed under penalty of perjury. The part that I'm speculating about, and I don't want to put this on you, the part that I'm speculating about is, as you just suggested, this could be a way of hiding payments to somebody like Adam Schiff, because one thing I noticed was when I started talking about Adam Schiff, I was also involved in filing amicus curiae briefs in the Signalgate case. And on April 14th, I forced a particular brief onto the docket that included allegations about the plaintiff in the case. I said this was not a valid plaintiff. And then on October 19th, I did my report based on your initial evidence and other things that I had found, exposing Adam Schiff and bringing attention to me as talking about Adam Schiff. 2 days later, he demanded that the National Archives come into the case. One of the key points that I had raised in my amicus brief was that Signalgate was attempting to use the National Records Act as a cause of action, and there is no private right to action in that. It's an administrative statute that only the National Archives can bring enforcement actions under. Just like I couldn't bring a murder charge against somebody, you've got to be a district attorney or a Commonwealth attorney. And, I can only take civil action. This particular statute doesn't have a private right to action. And curiously, 2 days after I start talking about Adam Schiff and all the mortgage evidence that you've revealed, he says on his Senate webpage that he's calling for the National Archives to enter the case. That was the only thing that could cure the fatal defect in the Signalgate case. So again, if somebody wants leverage over Adam Schiff and they've been paying his mortgage for several years and they have some scheme as to how they could expose that and send him to jail, it's certainly an effective lever you could pull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speculation by me.
You know what's cool is I just submitted this to the right agency on April 30th. How quick they were able to confirm all of the evidence that I submitted.
Oh yeah.
That I was able to gather and put together, and painstakingly. I mean, I had years, and they were able to cross-reference everything I put my heart and soul into in just a few months, enough to get the criminal referral. I'm running for Congress in California because I want to represent the people here. I want to be the servant that elected officials are supposed to be. I'm not looking for glory. I'm looking to hold bad people accountable. So there are some other cases that I'm digging into. We're going to let this one see where it goes before I release those other files.
Let it percolate.
And not just in mortgage, but in election integrity.
Nice. We need you in Congress. We need more people with brains and integrity. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your platform? Anything else you'd like to speak about?
Well, I would, because, with this case, I reached out to several members of Congress, not only me personally, but with the help of John Stubbins. He was really beating down some doors. And I know they have a hard job. And I am finding that out. It's everybody needs help. And it's easy to disregard something or not wanting to get caught up in it. And I'm not that person. I'm a warrior. And I'm here to do what is right and help as many people as I can. I don't expect to go to Congress and be the, everyone's going to say, oh my gosh, Christine Bish is here, and have them quaking in their boots. But I can tell you, if anybody is going to dog the members of Congress and whip them into shape to do what is right for the people, I'm your girl. I want to see closed borders. We're seeing a revitalization of national patriotism. This is something we haven't seen since, really since 9/11, where people are proud to be Americans. And, I'm looking at California. Those are my two grandkids, by the way, carrying that flag. They were in the 4th of July parade with me. And those two, they were at the time, they were 7 years old. They didn't want to ride in the flag. They are on the parade float. They wanted to walk with Grandma and let everybody know how proud they were of me. So I love seeing that picture of the grandkids, or at least two of them. And the video there you're going to see is where I'm talking about the passing of my daughter Kara. And we're not going to get into that today, but you're welcome if anybody wants to go to my website and see that video. That'll help explain a lot of my passion for running. I'm in real estate. I've repossessed cars. I'm not the bad guy. It's just doing my job. But I really understand from all of my jobs where people live, where we work, where we play, what our schools are like, and what really needs to happen, what the Constitution intended for members of Congress. We were supposed to be the representatives of the people. That is the people's house, the lower house. How can you represent a community if you don't live there? So in California's 6th district, the person I'm running against, I'll go ahead and say his name one time, Ami Bera. He doesn't even live in our district. Much like Adam Schiff did not
Yeah.
live in our district. Doris Matsui doesn't live in the district and hasn't lived in the district. And here's a fun little fact I'll throw in on the side. In 2021, I actually filed a complaint against the California Secretary of State, documenting that Doris Matsui was not a resident of the state of California. And we did one in Sacramento and County, and we did one in Yolo County. Well, the judge said we didn't serve the Secretary of State properly in Sacramento County and dismissed the case. Not on the merits,
Wow.
just on going after the Secretary of State, whose job this really was. But the attorney that was helping me with that, he passed away. So the case in Yolo County and all the evidence is still sitting in the courthouse, just floundering. And that was the attorney on that did an amazing piece of investigation or authoring the document. So we have a lot of evidence in there. And in fact, in that case, we actually had Doris Matsui's attorney actually send us a certified copy of her voter registration form, which in that case, you'll see that she committed perjury on the voter registration form.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I've got other
these
things going on here. Yeah. It's just somebody's got to take the time to dig into it and find out what areas of the law are being violated. And the only thing I can say to the people in Sacramento in the 6th district who would be voting for me, or donors from all over the country, this is what I'm doing in my spare time. Imagine what I'm going to do when I'm elected and I have a full staff.
Yeah. No, that's important
we are
to
going
mention.
to root out waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's
and hold
important to
elected-
mention, Christine, that people, even if they aren't in your district or even if they aren't in California, if people want to support your campaign, they can go to bishforcongress.com and tap on the donate tab, and they can help by sending money to the campaign. This is so important because, it's not only that these people aren't in the districts where they are supposedly representing people, and I agree with you, you can't possibly represent someone if you don't even live in the district. It's that they're stealing money from all of us. They're not representing us, they're bilking us. So we need congressional representatives, whatever state we live in. We need congressional representatives like you who are going to do this type of stuff to root out the fraud, to root out the theft, and to really make people who go into Congress, they should fear doing these types of things. They shouldn't do it boldly in the way that Adam Schiff has been doing it and commit crimes like this. I mean, frankly, it's shameful. I really appreciate you taking your time tonight, and I know you've got a lot going on outside of this congressional run. Is there anything else that we should discuss?
I just want to tell everybody, your vote makes a difference. Now, we have seen this, claims about election fraud and problems with voting machines. And if nothing else, this last election of President Trump proves that they can't cheat if it's too big to cheat. They can only do it if it's close. So in my district, in California's 6th district, I want everyone to know your vote matters. It matters to me. And I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent. You could be pink with purple polka dots. It doesn't matter to me. It's I want you to vote for the person, not the party. And we saw this in our presidential election. We saw this across the country. Now, California, we're feeling a little beat down out here because we know what's going on with our elections here and super majorities. in the state legislature. Luckily, we have a couple of great candidates that are running for governor. You went to my website or my social media page, and you saw me there with Steve Hilton and California's highest elected official, Ted Gaines, who did endorse me for representative for this area, and I'm very grateful to Ted for his support. But get out there and support local candidates and vote. It only takes a minute. They've made it crazy easy to vote. They've made it crazy easy to cheat. But if enough of you come out there, we can overcome that. And just lots of great things happening. I believe I can serve the people of California. I may be one vote, but I believe with that vote, not only will I serve my district, my state, but I will help guide legislation for our country. And you know that I will do it in all seriousness with dignity and respect for the voters. It's not self-serving.
So well said. Really great.
I believe
Christine,
it.
I know you do. You ooze integrity, and I really do hope that you win. So the midterms are, it's sooner than people might realize, and you just sound like such an excellent candidate and just such a great person. I love the research that you've done. Nobody deserves to be indicted more than Adam Schiff. Well, maybe Jeffrey Epstein, but he's dead, allegedly. But
yeah.
That's a separate story for another day. I want to thank you for joining me today. People should follow you on X at Bish for Congress. It's on the screen right there. They can go to your webpage as well. We've been looking at it all throughout the show. It's Bish, BISH. FOR Congress.com. Go over there. Even if you're not in California's 6th district, you can make a contribution, help the campaign, help Christine fight the corruption in Congress and bring alleged criminals, like Adam Schiff, to justice. I really appreciate you joining me tonight, Christine.
Thank you.
And I want to remind people they can support Crowdsource the Truth by going to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. You can also go to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. And Christine, I hope you'll come back and join us once Adam Schiff has been indicted. Best of luck on the campaign and with everything else.
Thank you very much. And to everybody who's listening and commenting, thank you for your time, and please share this. I've got a lot of work to do, and your support, even if it's not money, but it's bringing attention to this so we make sure that none of the evidence that I have submitted is overlooked.
Absolutely.
We're not going to let Adam Schiff wiggle out of this one. I'm committed to making sure that he is held accountable, and that, like every other American, he has due process and the opportunity to defend himself in a court of law.
Absolutely. And he's going to lose. Thank you, Christine. So wonderful to finally meet you, and wonderful work that you're doing. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.